So, seems like I have another game to cover after Friday the 13th after all. So in 1989, Friday the 13th would hit store shelves, but a year later, the NES would get another taste of the slasher genre with A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is going to be so much fun.
Freddy Krueger, the stuff that nightmares are made out of. Even though I'm a Jason stan, I can't deny the overall charm and charisma that was brought to the screen by the thespian known as Robert Englund. We don't talk about Jackie.
Now that you got me, what game do you want to play next?
Fuck you.
Ooh, sounds like fun.
What a nightmare!
I got more interested in the franchise during my teen years, and it was interesting seeing the transition from pure horror to absolute ridiculousness. But regardless of how bad the series ran itself into the ground, Freddy will forever be on my Mount Rushmore of horror along with Jason, Michael, and Chucky.
I was this close to putting Leatherface on there, but if you don't like it, make your own. Anyway, let's go over the game's development.
Like Friday the 13th, this game was published by LJN and not developed by Atlas. Instead, we have Rare, which again is a shock given all the games that they would go on to make, like Donkey Kong Country, Banjo-Kazooie, Killer Instinct, and Kinect Sports. God, that is so sad. So as far as info, there isn't a whole lot, but it seems like they had a different concept with you, the player, taking control as Mr. Krueger. I'm guessing the folks over at Nintendo weren't too keen on this, and maybe they saw the Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre games at Atari and knew it wasn't going to sell.
If I were them, I would have gone with it. I mean, hell, they made a game with toads that have the grossest names imaginable, so who cares?
The game released in October of 1990, and reviews were more mixed this time. Most people had problems with its difficulty, but praised its presentation and soundtrack. Also, like Friday NES, he would receive a NECA figure in 2013, exclusive to purchase at GameStop, which... sure. Now it's finally time to crack this game open and hope I can actually wake up after this experience.
Anyway, let's go over the story and see what we're dealing with here.
You and 3 other kids are collecting Freddy's bones so you can throw them in a furnace so the Springwood slasher can remain dead. Yeah, that's it. Just like the last video, there's not much of a narrative in the actual game itself, so back to the manual for the introduction. Alright, here we go. Something frightening has been happening on Elm Street lately. Each waking day heralds the discovery of another neighborhood teen that has passed away in the dark stillness of the night. Everyone says it's natural causes, but it's almost as if something, or maybe someone, has been picking them off one by one as they slept. It's a horrible nightmare come true, and this has a name. Freddy Krueger. It's up to you and your remaining friends to search Elm Street for his scattered bones and throw them all into the high school furnace. If you can just stay awake long enough, you might end Freddy Krueger's reign of terror for good. But you better hurry. It's getting late, and you can feel those eyelids getting heavier and heavier with each passing minute. Gotta give props for this game for having more of a story compared to Friday. It feels like something they would actually try in one of the movies, but what takes me out of it is having snakes, bats, and zombies trying to kill me in the real world. I would rather they attack me when I'm dreaming, but also at the same time I guess they had to have enemies to hit for both scenarios. Otherwise, what we have is just fine, and enough for me to try and take Freddy on anyway.
So anyway, on to gameplay now? Yeah, let's do it.
Controls are as simple as possible with A to jump, B to attack, and the D-pad to move. Left, right, and down are what you expect, and up allows you to enter houses. In the real world, you can find these tokens, which gives you powers in the dream world. These range from an athlete, a wizard, and a ninja, which I wasn't able to get, and I'll explain that a little later. Becoming a dream warrior is cool, and I'm glad they incorporated it into the game. The problem I find is you're going to want to spend more time awake, so you don't really get to use them much. That's basically it when it comes to the basics. It's something you should have no problem getting the hang of. One thing that is a pain to deal with is the character's traction. I feel like Luigi from the Lost Levels with greasy butter under my shoes. This might cause you to fall over the edge in one of the levels, so do me a favor and try not to be so brash.
Let's see what the other stuff is for this game.
So the entire game takes place on Elm Street, where you will find various houses, the high school, a cemetery, the junkyard, and finally Freddy's house. Inside each level, your goal is to collect all the bones in any given area and fight the boss at the end of the level. Enemies to deal with include the likes of snakes, bats, zombies for whatever reason, spiders, rats, falling stones, and that's just when you're awake. While you're asleep, you have stuff like Freddy versions of most enemies, skeletons, ghosts with bendy arms, and these weird shirtless guys. One piece of advice, and this goes for the whole game, is to take your time and try not to rush through because you're going to end up dead.
So now it's time to talk about the Dream Meter. Can't wait to explain this.
So as you keep playing, your meter slowly fades, and after it's gone, there's a cool transition. The world around you looks slightly different, and the enemies just look different. You can also use the dream powers, but one negative is that you can only collect them in the real world, and that's a shame. The only way to wake yourself is with the boombox, and you can fill your meter with coffee, which is something I'm glad they kept from the movies.
So now I want to talk about one thing that frustrated me and the reason why there isn't any more footage of the game.
At the start of the game, you only have access to the first 3 houses, but it's randomized. One thing that pisses me off is that you have to stand in a certain spot to enter, and it's really stingy with where you stand. The reason I didn't record more is for some reason I couldn't enter the levels after a certain point. No matter how many times I reset the game, nothing worked, and that was a shame because I really wanted to show the junkyard and Freddy's place. I tried my damnedest to play more, but if the game doesn't want me to cooperate, then fuck it. I'm not dealing with this shit.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Anyway, graphics look okay, I think. It looks more visually interesting than Friday the 13th with its environments, but the sprites can be hit or miss. Music is fantastic and is one of my favorite NES soundtracks. Greg Kirkhope brought his A-game by making an OST that has a creepy factor to it while making a catchy good time. My favorite tracks include Elm Street itself and The Third House, I guess. I'm just going by the YouTube playlist.
Anyway, let's end this shit and talk about my final thoughts.
Nightmare on Elm Street on the NES is a better game than Friday the 13th, but in some aspects it's very much worse. Gameplay, graphics, and sound are some of the stronger points, but what holds it back is its randomness and difficulty. The fact I can't enter the house unless I'm in a spot that's pixel perfect is reason enough to play Friday the 13th over this. Other than that, I can't stand the Dream Meter, collecting bones can be frustrating at times, and enemies are uninteresting and cheap most of the time. To the Nightmare fans, this is not worth trying out, and out of both games, don't play either. Just go back to watching the movies and praying the franchise will make a return someday. What a nightmare this game turned into.
Man, it is hot in here. Why am I itchy all of a sudden? Oh God!
Ha 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 ha!